Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and I'm continuing my autopsy on my Burned Husk 5th Edition campaign. All right, let's talk this through. All right, so we are now ending. My group is ending, and it was 6 people in the group, and 2 people decided to end it, right? And end a 8-month 28 session, 2 hours per session, 56-hour game time game, right? And this thing burned to the ground. It ended abruptly, right? And it ended with everyone being surprised at the ending of the game. It also ended with the entire group saying we're ready to play more tabletop role-playing games together, right? Including Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. And so we have this new model where what we're doing is we're giving each Dungeon Master, in the Omni Dungeon Master game I just said, you would literally run a 2-hour game and you would hand it over to the next DM, and they would pick it up right there and run right off on top of what you had said. And it was very difficult for some DMs. They did it flawlessly, right? Some DMs were like frustrated and upset by where they had to come in, right? And it's one of the reasons why the game ended, was people were like, I don't know, you're handing me this ball, I don't know where to take it, right? And so that's one of the reasons why the game ended, right? So our new pattern is each Dungeon Master gets a month. We get together on Sunday. On the bottom 6 to 8 p.m. slot, one Dungeon Master runs Session 1, Week 1, Session 2, Week 2, Session week 3, Week 3, Session Week 4, Week 4, whatever game they want. They don't have to ask anybody at the table. There's no Session 0. They're just saying, hey, this is my game. I got 8 hours to run this, right, over 1 month, and they can run whatever they want. Now, they are also expected to play and engage with whatever the next DM picks up. And so the next DM is on the top of the session, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., and they can run whatever they want. Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, Index Card RPG, DC's Superheroes, FASA Battle, BattleTech. I actually think that was called Mech Warrior. Whatever you want. And you don't have to ask anybody. And everybody at the table is expected to fully engage in your game. And if they don't, right, then you're like, okay, we get it. You don't really like playing in everybody's game. We'll find somebody, we'll play with the people who are like, yes, I'm going to DM whatever I want, and yes, I'm going to engage with the games that are being presented, right? Because essentially it's like a cost for you get a month to run whatever you want, right? And at the same time, everybody's expected to engage with your game. But if we get DMs who run and then don't engage with the other games, or like, well, that's the cost of being a DM, you're not really down with this, so, and we'll scale down, right? And then we'll scale up. Now, we have not reached that, and I actually don't think we're going to reach that, and because one of the things is we had a horrible ejection from this Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition game, and we had this very abrupt, very chaotic, very frustrating week, right, in which everyone said, yeah, I'm in. I'm ready for the new model. I'm in. Let's do it, right? And I was surprised that we didn't lose a single player, right? So I was really shocked that everybody was like, as rocky as that road was, people literally saying, I'm not here for the drama, and then saying, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. What's next, right? So basically, one of the things that really shocked me was just the speed at which all this happened, right? So first of all, one of the things, so I want to talk about a few different things, right? So let's talk about this, right? So one, I'm doing an autopsy in real time of the Burnt Husk. That is my Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition campaign, right? We did this experiment of 2-hour game. Everybody's a DM. Everybody's a player. Run for 2 hours and hand it off to the next person, right? I think it was a success because it beat the 24-hour game mark. We now know that most Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition campaigns end after 6 sessions, right? Nerd Immersion did an article on this months ago, right? And so all you got to do to be a success today is run 7 sessions, 7 4-hour games, right? So you just got to get to hour 27 and you're beating the dungeon master next door. And that is my goal, right? I want to be the very best there is. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. I want to steal players from other games, right? I want the best players there are, right? And if they're better players at other tables, I want to steal them from other dungeon masters. The same way, Michael Jordan stole the ball from the Clippers, right? Player. I'm going to steal players, right? And somebody came at me in the comments on that one. It was like, that's so rude. Yay. It's a competitive world, right? Let's, roll on. All right. So one of the things that shocked me was just how fast this game came to a crashing halt, right? Now I want to talk. So let's talk about Autopsy of a real-time Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game that just turned into a burning husk and ended abruptly and shocked everybody with its ending, shocked all players, and there were at least 2 players who were very sad that the game ended, and the game ended because of the decisions of 2 people, not 6, even though 6 were playing, right? So first of all, let's talk about Autopsy, right? So actually, I read a great book. I highly recommend to you Neil Stephenson. You could pick any book he wrote. He's the best American sci-fi author that's ever written a book. He is tremendous. He is just spectacularly good at what he does, right? So I highly recommend to you Neil Stephenson. And he has a section in one of his books where he's writing a historical thing that actually happened, but adding, fictional flourishes. And so Isaac Newton actually studied a human eye by pulling his own eye out of his eye socket, right? And then looking at his left eye with his right eye, and even still using, his own eye to observe it, right? And that's how I feel right now, right? Like I'm a Dungeons and Dragons commentator, right? And I feel like I'm at the deep end of the pool on that, right? Like I take this very serious. I'll tell you right now, I'll say this flat out. I don't think there's anybody on the planet who has more Dungeons and Dragons commentary than I do. I dare you to send me a single commentator who's created more content, right? I'm not saying I'm the highest quality, but I'll tell you right now, hands down, if there's a trophy for Dungeons and Dragons commentary, length or individual videos, I win. I'm the best in the world at creating frequent commentary about Dungeons and Dragons. There's no one on the planet that's even close. I challenge you to tell me if I'm wrong. All right, I have created more individual videos that are Dungeons and Dragons commentaries than anybody on the planet. I'm the number one, right? And so I take this very serious, right? So when my campaign ends, I'm going to talk about it in detail, right? But I also realize at this point, this puts me in the position of position of a comedian who talks about his wife, or a comedian who talks about her husband, right? So one of the things, I'm very careful with my group. I never mention them by name. I don't dox them or anything like that. The other thing that's really interesting to me is just how people interact with playing with somebody who's actively talking about their game to the world, right? So we have 5 players, right? And one of the players very actively watches the channel and is 100% aware of what I do. Another player is aware of my YouTube channel, but actually has 0 interest in this content, right? Like he's like, I care about the game. I don't care about Scott's commentary about the game. And that's totally okay. 2 of the other players, I think, are completely unaware I even have a channel, right? Because I'll tell you right now, I never, ever, ever say, you should go watch my channel to anyone, right? Like, I'm like, hey, I make content. They can go over, they can consume it if they want. They don't have to. It's totally up to them, right? So basically, you have all that going on. And then I think I have one other player who they're aware of my content, and I have no idea what they think of me doing the content, because I don't have a strong communication built to that player at this point, right? So that's where all this lands when it comes to specifically, autopsying your own thing in real time, right? And the other thing is I'm sharing with you, and the reason why I'm sharing with you is I want you to not have to go through painful things I'm going through and to learn from me. And I also want to learn from you. And I have learned from you, right? Somebody gave me a great idea. I was losing sleep over this, right? And they're like, hey, what you should do is get a good pair of earphones and put out and listen to some nice whale song, or different sound patterns, and that actually has already helped. It's a great idea, right? So I'm learning from you guys, and I'm hoping you're learning from me. And I'm talking about this because I'm passionate about it. It's now, right? And I actually think that's the best YouTube content, right? Content that you're passionate about, content that's very immediate, content that's connected to the real, to the IRL, right? And so all that's going on. Now, one of the things that I was surprised is how fast the game ended, right? So we had this pressure building up in the game where people were like, I really hate this 2-hour game thing. I want a 4-hour game, right? And I'm pushing right back because I'm like, if you want a 4-hour game, go get it. You ain't gonna find it here, right? Like I detest 4-hour games, right? I think that 4-hour games are only run by people who think it's still 1980 and when they're choosing players that are going to be interested in a 4-hour game, they're choosing players that are basing their opinion of Dungeons & Dragons off of the 1980s game. Nothing in modern life is done for 4 hours. It's absurd, right? And not even football runs for 4 hours. Football runs for like 3.5, right? And that's one of the most popular things in the world, right? So this 4-hour game, it's got to die. And it is the dragon, and I will slay it, right? I am here to take down the 4-hour game, right? So there's this huge tension building. And when it all went down, right, what happened was, one player was like, let's all meet next week, a week from now, and let's talk, right? Great idea. Then the player came back and said, I'm not showing up to that meeting because I think there's going to be a lot of drama to it. You guys decide whatever you're going to do, and then I will come in and abide by what is decided, right? So and then I got together with one other person, right? And the reason why we excluded the other 3 was one of them was not connected on Facebook, 2 of them were brand new. So that's only 3. It's me, the one player who had taken themselves out of the discussion, and then me and one other player we just built a brand new model from the ground up, right? And when we turned this over and said, here it is, this is the new model, you let us know if you're in or out, right? The one player was shocked that it had taken themselves out of the conversation, was like, I never intended for the 5e game to end. I thought we would just modify how the 5e was going. And so that player was shocked at how fast it happened and how so far away from their expectation the outcome was, right? So one of the things I would say is, in today's world, ain't nothing in waiting for 7 days. It's going to get decided a lot faster than that. Take that lesson. And the other thing is, if you take yourself out of the conversation, you almost certainly are not going to get anything you want. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.